If you are ready, I'd like to guide you in relaxation meditation. Relaxation meditation is a form of mindfulness meditation as well. It's about being compassionate towards our physical body. After we have eaten like this, we have eaten a lunch like this. Our digestion system is working very hard to digest the food. Consumption of food does not end with the chewing and swallowing of food. The process has still to go further. So at the moment, our physical body is working very hard, our system is working very hard to digest the food, to extract energy and send the energy to different parts of the body. So at this point in time, I'd like to invite you to put your hand by the side like this, just to let go of all the, just to drop your hand, just to let go of all the responsibilities, just to drop your hand. And your leg, you can keep them apart, it's okay. Keep them apart. So I'll be guiding you. This will take about 30 minutes. When you do it on your own, you can do it maybe 5 minutes, it's okay. If you're not sure, you can record this. You can record what I'm going to say so that you can play when you're at work. You can play that and then you can practice it on your own. You can play it at home as well. Now start breathing in and out, slow and gentle. Very slow and gentle breathing. Slow and gentle breathing. Recognizing that the physical body is tired. The physical body is very tired. The muscles are tense. The muscles around your head, around your forehead, the muscles around your ears, they are all very tense. They are all very tense because they have been working very hard, accumulating a lot of stress chemicals. Those muscles, they never have a break at all. No lunch break, no tea break. They have to work 24 hours a day. So, with compassion for the tired body, breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Pay attention to the muscles around your head. They are tense because they are tired. With compassion For those muscles, those hard-working muscles, breathe in, slow and gentle. Breathe out, relax. Relax those muscles. Don't fight with tiredness. Don't fight with tension in the muscles. Simply accept them. Accept them with compassion. Recognize them that they are tired, exhausted. Breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Now move your attention to your forehead. The areas around your forehead is tense. The muscles are tense because they are tired. When you think, when you listen, when you read, when you drive, when you walk, even when you eat, those muscles, they always work. They have to work all the time. So with empathy and compassion towards them, breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Now move your attention to the areas around your eyes. You can feel tension over there in those areas as well. Because your eyes work so hard from the time you get up until the time you fall asleep again. They never stop working. So with that recognition of their hard work, their exhaustion, breathe in and out, slow and gentle, with compassion. I forgot to tell you, you should take off your glasses. The glasses are very heavy, you can feel them. So breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Now move your attention to your cheeks, left and right. The muscles in your cheeks are tense as well, because they work very hard when you drink, when you eat, when you speak, even when you listen. So breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Relax the muscles around your cheeks. move your attention down to your lip, your chin. You can feel tension over there as well. So breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Relax. Relax the muscles around your chins and your lips. we can move our attention to our shoulders. Our shoulders are also tense. From shoulder, then move down to the arms, and then to elbows, to hands, to fingers. You can feel the tension of the muscles. So one after another, you focus on one place and then to the next, then to the next. Breathing in with compassion for the physical body, breathing out, relax. Now move your attention to your back, down onto your lower back. You will feel tension as well. Stress chemical that we have accumulated during the car travel, plane travel, during the meeting, sitting at work, at home. We have accumulated a lot of stress, and they are still here as well. So breathing in and out slow and gentle, relax the muscles at the lower back. Now focus on your tummy, which is working very hard to digest the food. Breathing in and out, slow and gentle. Relax the muscles around your tummy. Our tummy has no choice but to digest the food that has been swallowed. Our eyes, they have choices, what to look, what not to look at. Our ears also have choices. And the food that we eat, our tongue, our mouth, they have choices. But the tummy, the digestive system, never has any choice. And the food, when it reaches the tummy, it becomes totally disgusting. Even the food in our mouth is disgusting. What is in the supermarket It looks attractive. In the pots and pans, still attractive. But once we have put the food into our mouth, we start chewing. It's no longer attractive. We never want to look at it again. But we focus on the taste, and we chew, and we chew, and we chew, and we swallow. By the time we swallow the food has become totally disgusting. The further down the throat the food goes, the more disgusting it becomes. But we need the energy of this food, of this disgusting food, so that this physical body can study and communicate, interact, and also develop compassion, so that we can move around. We need to rely on the energy in the food. So breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Breathe in and out, slow and gentle, with compassion for the tired body, for the exhausted body. Compassion here means to accept it, not to fight with tension, not to chase the tension away, but to recognize it and accept it as it is. This is part of compassion. Slow and gentle breathing. Don't fight with your tiredness. Just accept it and breathe in and out with compassion for the exhausted body. Breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Now focus on your lung. Your lung needs a lot of oxygen, because your lung supplies oxygen to the whole body. By breathing in, you're supplying oxygen to your lung, and from there to the whole body. So breathe in, supply oxygen with compassion, compassion for the whole body. And breathe out, relax. with compassion for your lung, for your heart, and for all the veins in the body that carry oxygen to different places. Breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Breathing in with compassion for the body. Breathing out, releasing toxic from the body. Now focus on the whole body. If you feel heavy, if you feel tired, just feel compassion for this exhausted body. And then breathe in and out, slow and gentle, with compassion. Don't fight with tiredness, don't try to chase away the tiredness, don't try to even make yourself fresh. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay. Accept it. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay that all the muscles are tense. So breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Okay, it's almost 30 minutes now. We can stop here. You can open your eyes now. I was guiding you and I fell asleep. I think for about 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and I feel very fresh now. So after lunch, I'm trying to look at your physical body with compassion. When I was doing my PhD at Oxford University, I would have lunch at a restaurant, at a Thai restaurant. They invite me to have lunch over there. And from the restaurant back to the library, I would pass Malden College. In the Malden College, inside the compound, there is a huge tree, about 230 years old tree. So if there's no rain, I would go and meditate under that tree for about 10 minutes, looking at how tired the body is, how tense the muscles are. So with that 10 minutes recharge, I would go back to the library. Then I can work until maybe 6:30 or 7 in the evening. Other students, after lunch, they would come back to their desk and start working straight away. After 1 hour or so, everybody would be slumping on the body, on the table. This is because you're trying to drive your body too harsh. After a meal, you should always take it easy, at least for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Not doing anything, not thinking, not reading, not listening to music, but just to pay attention to the process of digestion. Okay, now back to compassion. I'm going to write it in Burmese. Mindfulness is at the heart of the system. When we talk about compassion in the Buddhist practice, we are talking about a set of practice. This set of practice includes 4: Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha. Metta, Professor James Doty, in the second video clip, he uses the word love, universal love. That's metta. In the text, usually we translate it as loving kindness. And from there, metta or loving kindness branches out into karuna and mudita. Karuna for difficult times, for unpleasant experiences. Mudita for pleasant one, for good time, for hard time, for good time. For hard time, for good time. So, in the Buddhist tradition, basically or necessarily, compassion is about focusing on difficult times, focusing on negative things, focusing on when things don't go our way, when we don't get what we want. In the first video clip, the scientist from Yale University, Dr. Heather Colby, she quotes Rolling Stone. You can't always get what you want. Rolling Stone. You can't always get what you want. For people who have studied the first sermon of the Buddha, Dhammasajja, Lojena Mayana, Yang Pesa Nalabudi Dambi Dokha, not to get what we want. That's the Buddha defined as suffering 2,600 years ago. Rolling Stone, when he did that? 30 years ago, maybe. 35? Hannah, you remember? So, we don't always get what we want. I wanted to get here before 9. Instead, okay, I arrive here 1:15. I didn't get what I want. So what would be my reaction? I have two possible reactions. One thing is to accept it. To accept that, okay, the journey is delayed because of the traffic jam. And I can reach out to other people. I can look at other people who were also stuck in the traffic and feel empathy towards them. How do I feel? At that time, I would feel I am not alone. This is very important. When you feel you are alone, getting stuck in the traffic, when you think you are alone, now you want to swear at everyone. You look at everyone as stopping you from reaching your destination. You see? Two possible reactions. One is because you feel compassion for yourself. You accept this situation and you look at other people who are in the same situation. With that, the hippocampus area, the frontal area, we call this the frontal cortex of your brain, is working at that time. This brain, Dr. James Doty, the neurosurgeon, he says, this is executive brain. The decision-making brain is here. Prefrontal cortex is called hippocampus also. Otherwise, the other reaction is my old brain is at the back. It's called old brain. According to evolution, child evolution, this old brain, the amygdala, will take over. This amygdala is fear center. I mentioned earlier, and the 3 model is called threat focus. Now, because I got stuck in the traffic, I start looking at everyone as a threat. Because they are going to fail me. They are going to fail me from reaching my destination, from reaching PQ Club on time. So they are all my potential threat. If I look at them that way, my old brain is active. If my old brain is active, my new brain, this hippocampus, is inactive. They never work at the same time. And these are all meditation and neuroscience. They say, if I think negatively about other cars, other passengers, I develop new neural connection in my old brain, old neural connection. And if I repeat them again and again, from my monastery to here back to my monastery, to the airport and all like that, little by little I accumulate those stresses. And I also develop new neural connection in the negative area, in the fear center. So I will start looking at every one of you as a threat. That's because negative emotion activates the amygdala region of the brain. So this is the brain default that we need to change. We need to change it to the prefrontal cortex. If the brain at the front, prefrontal cortex, is active, we are able to connect with each other. Oh, I'm not alone. Look, many people got stuck in the traffic. With that, I can relax now. I can relax. So, compassion or karuna is necessarily about managing a difficult situation. Okay, a difficult situation. about working with problems, about working with the situation when things don't go our way. But that's not the only one. Metta, what we call metta, loving kindness, has the other part, the other half, which is joy. We have many things going our way. When I was getting stuck in the traffic jam, I can think about how maybe about 100 years ago, how long it took to come from Mayango to this place, about 100 years ago. Now, so we have nice car, nice road, nice traffic light, polite people driving. With that, with this mind, with this joyful mind, joyous mind, I wouldn't feel the stress of the traffic. So both of them, compassion and joy, and karuna and mudita, they are about stress management. Stress management in the first place. But it's very hard to feel joy. It's very hard because we soon take things for granted. Today lunch is delicious, but what about having the same lunch tomorrow? And the day after tomorrow, 2 days in advance. Please take the same dishes for 5 days, okay? You will be honored with a national award. You're not going to do it. You mustn't complain, okay? If you're going to have that national award, you mustn't complain. No, the mind will complain. Why? When we say this lunch is delicious, we only mean for a few hours. After a few hours, we reserve the right to change our mind. We change our mind. What has changed? The food? No, the food hasn't changed. The vitamin they offer? No, they haven't changed. They remain the same. They will offer the same, exactly the same vitamin, the same energy. What has changed? We, the consumer, okay, we have changed. We have lost our capacity to enjoy the food. That is why it's not very easy to rejoice in the good things. Restlessness, wandering mind, they are detrimental to joyful feeling. The same is also a hindrance towards compassion. But here, when we talk about problem, when a problem arises, how do we feel? Usually, we develop fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not getting what we want. We also develop agitation. And with that agitation, anger. It's likely from anger we might develop hatred. So, if there is no compassion, in the absence of compassion, that what would happen to the mind in the face of problems? A lot of burden, problems, they always bring burden. Under a persistent burden, the mind which has not been trained in compassion, can react in a very negative way. This is where we become selfish when we face problem. We just look inside. We isolate ourselves. We don't want to have to do with anyone, anything outside. That's when we face problem. So, sorry to go into a bit of politics. Now, Myanmar in this situation, it's very important that we don't get angry. It's very important that we don't panic. It's very important that we don't develop fear. Instead, we look at each other and we develop compassion. This will be our strength. We should develop this strength. So the alternative to compassion is anger, frustration, disconnection from others, disconnection. We use mindfulness to look at those reactions, those negative reactions. I don't want to use the word, but it's in the Pali commentary. It's called the enemy of compassion. Anger is the enemy of compassion. Frustration is the enemy of compassion. Disconnection from other people's experiences is the enemy of compassion. Early in the morning, when I was traveling through the road, if I wasn't connected with other passengers, with their experiences, I could easily go into a selfish thinking. When I became self-centered like that, I totally disconnected myself from other people. There is no depression unless we disconnect ourselves from others. Depression starts from that, being disconnected. And here, joyful feeling of mudita also has its hindrances, like taking things for granted. I have just explained about a good lunch. How good the same lunch can be, it cannot be for many days. Then usually we compare ourselves with other people to motivate ourselves. It looks very good. It seems very good, but actually it's not. By comparing ourselves, we only have two outcomes. In Western psychology, in Buddhist psychology, we have three outcomes. In Western psychology, if we compare ourselves with other people, if we think we are doing better, then there is superiority complex. This is one of the two outcomes. If we think other people are doing better, then we feel sad, we don't feel upbeat, we cannot rejoice in what they do. It could lead to jealousy. So inferiority complex, insecure feeling. So these are the two possible outcomes when we compare ourselves with other people. In the Buddhist psychology, in addition to these two, there is another one. If I compare myself with someone, if I think we are at the same level, then there will be I don't care attitude. Why should I care? We are the same. Why should I care? We are the same. Meaning, I don't really rejoice in his effort. I don't feel good seeing him working hard or being successful. Okay, that's a terrible situation to put ourselves in. So never compare yourself with other people. Instead, how do we motivate ourselves? Motivation. I use how do we motivate ourselves? We have to motivate ourselves through compassion. Say, if you look at shortages of medicine and nurses and doctors everywhere in the world, everywhere. In England, the number of doctors and nurses is always a political game between different parties, especially during the election campaign. If we look at those problems, those shortages, and we feel the pain of the people affected by those shortages, we feel that pain. This is called empathy. If we feel that pain, and I must work hard, I must succeed in my job, in my company, in my business, so that I can employ more people, so that I can pay more taxes. If we think this way, we can use program to motivate ourselves. If we produce something, if we produce a product, and if we can sell them in Myanmar, we save a hard currency. But if we can do even better, we can export them. Now we can earn also hard currency. Just by doing our own business, by doing well in our business, we are actually being compassionate towards the whole country. I'm not asking you to give anything free. I'm not asking you to give your staff or other people anything free. What I'm telling you is that you can use problems that you find in life to motivate yourself. If you don't do this, whenever you face problems, those problems have the power to bring you down psychologically. You would feel low. Those problems would put a lot of pressure on you. So we have to decide what we are going to do with the problem. Are we going to use them as motivation? Or are we going to leave them like that and keep ourselves vulnerable, being attacked by those problems whenever they occur? I got this idea, when I gave a lecture at Sasin Business School at Chulalongkorn University in Thailand. There was a businessman from Germany. Some of you might have heard of B Trim company. B Trim. Trim is T-R-I-M. B Trim company. It's about 150 years old company from Germany. It's an international, it's corporate. And Peter Trim is the fourth or the fifth generation of managing CEO of that company, and he was there in the panel to respond to my lecture. And he practices Buddhism, I would say, a lot better than I do. He said, the Buddhists thinking of the four truths, the Four Noble Truths, these are the Four Noble Truths. The first one is problem. The second one is causes. The third one is end of problem. End of problem. And the last one is solution. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the heart of Buddhist philosophy. The heart of Buddhist philosophy is to use problem as the foundation of our thinking, to use problem as the fundamental approach towards life. So we have to think about problem and work our way around it. Develop our mind, develop our heart, develop our resilience, develop our compassion, develop our joy, develop our loving kindness, our mindfulness. Everything is centered around problem. In Pali, we call it dukkha, samudaya, nirodha, magga. Dukkha is problem. We need to recognize this, we need to study this, we need to understand it, we need to comprehend this. We need to develop our hearts and soul, our brain around problems. Based on that concept, Peter Trim, from Germany, he said, if he was going to sell chairs, then he would look at the problem that people have and he would empathize with them. He would feel their pain not having a chair. What kind of problem needs which type of chair? He would do a thorough research because he wants to help them. He wants to help them. So this is problem-based approach. If you do that, because of your meticulous research, your product is going to be the best. Customer care, you don't really need to study anymore. Customer care is already here. It's already part of this. Already part of this. In this compassion. It's good for business. So the customers can win without you losing it. So that you can win without the customer losing it. It's a win-win situation. This is compassion. And here comes ethics. Ethics is, when you grow and other people don't lose. This is an important one in terms of moral ethics. Let me come back to this system, the system of four. In other places, people only talk about compassion. In the Buddhist system, it comes as a package of four. You cannot separate them. You have to buy the whole package. We have to buy the whole package. Because Karuna and Mudita, compassion and joy, they have their distraction. In Burmese, the distraction here is Dota. Over there is Lobha. Here is anger, rejection. Over there is greed. These are the distractions for these two. So, we need to use mindfulness to work on those distractions. And when the distractions are subdued, and then compassion and joy, they grow naturally, unhindered. That called balanced emotion. The balancing point of emotion. That's called upekkha. It's not what we understand in Burmese. Upekkha means to ignore, to give up. No. Upekkha in this system means balanced emotion. Balance between these two. I have given a long talk on this in Burmese. The title of the talk is Lilu Mashu Jo Makaindo Ubekha. Lilu Le Mashu Jo Le Makaindo. Take Ubekha Sek. Ya you are Ubekha Gama to a Lilu Le Shure, Jo Le Kaine. is about giving it up. You want to do something and you get frustrated. You cannot proceed anymore. You want to give up. And usually people call it ubeka. Ubeka pjulai, ubeka pjulai. It means give it up, give it up. If ubeka comes from compassion, it will never give up. However hard the situation is, it will never give up. Because the resilience that we develop from here is quite solid, quite profound, quite strong. So if you look at the whole system in this way, it's called mindfulness-based loving kindness, mindfulness-based compassion, mindfulness-based joy, mindfulness-based balanced emotion. Mindfulness as the basis. This is the deep intent. This is what I like to present as EQ development in Buddhism, the Buddhist tradition, emotional quotient program in the Buddhist tradition. So compassion is a big part of this. Can you erase this? Before we take a break, we have 30 minutes. So I think I have explained a little bit about compassion. Now I want you to watch another video clip. 40-second compassion. Yeah. This is from a medical doctor in the ICU. In the ICU. I hope you listen to him carefully. He is not blaming doctors. As a doctor, he talks about his experiences. He talks about lack of compassion in hospitals and among the caregivers in America. And this is not to blame the doctors, but to look at them with compassion, because they are exhausted. They feel they have no time for compassion. As a result, they also suffer. Not just the patient, they also suffer. They suffer from burnout. You can see how compassion is good for your health. Immunity, he would single out. Immunity, cholesterol even, blood pressure certainly. He would talk about them. And when a doctor is not compassionate, he would look at the computer screen more than the patient in the face. And he wouldn't remember the name of his patient. If you remember the name of your patient, they feel very upbeat. That has an impact on self-care, meaning they are going to follow your instruction. They feel connection with you. He's going to start with an accident, 2 buses colliding in Sweden, where 6 people die and 56 people miraculously survive. And 5 years later, they did a qualitative research on those patients, and the dominant themes are 2. One is the physical pain they suffer. The other is the lack of compassion in all the hospitals. So, does compassion matter? This doctor, Professor Stephen Trauzer, he would ask. And he would read 1,000 scientific abstracts and 200 manuscripts in order to answer this question. So we look at this. Do you want to? Me, baby.
and on those who care for patients, our healthcare providers. There are about patients, and they know that, they may be more likely to take their medicine. In a Johns Hopkins study of 1,700 patients with HIV, researchers asked patients, does your physician know you as a person? Knowing the patient as a person was associated with 33% higher odds of adherence to therapy and 20% higher odds of having no detectable virus in the blood. Compassion has also been associated with lower healthcare costs, which are a major factor in the health of our economy. In primary care, for example, research from the University of Rochester and UC Davis have shown that compassionate, patient-centered care is associated with lower discretionary resource utilization. So fewer diagnostic tests, fewer referrals to specialists, fewer unnecessary hospitalizations, and lower total healthcare charges. So here's the bottom line. If healthcare providers actually spend more time talking to patients, maybe we don't need so many tests and referrals. But what about time? We've all heard the expression, time is money, but time is also a vital factor in the efficiency and the economics of healthcare. So here's a staggering number, 56. Research from Harvard University shows that 56% of physicians believe they do not have time for compassion. This is in the context of a classic study from Princeton University on helping behaviors, which found that it wasn't the intrinsic belief of the importance of helping by the potential helper, it was whether or not the potential helper believed they had enough time to help. So how long does it actually take for a meaningful expression of compassion? To address this, researchers from Johns Hopkins University did a randomized controlled trial on patients with cancer who were having a consultation with the oncologist. And in this randomized trial, the primary outcome measure was anxiety. And if you have cancer, it's a pretty important outcome measure. So they found that patients randomized to a compassion intervention from the oncologist had less anxiety than usual care. So what was the compassion intervention? I can describe it for you, but instead I'm just going to read it to you. From the oncologist at the beginning of the consultation. I know this is a tough experience to go through, and I want you to know that I am here with you. Some of the things that I say to you today may be difficult to understand, so I want you to feel comfortable in stopping me. If something I say is confusing or doesn't make sense, we are here together, and we will go through this together. And at the end of the consultation, the oncologist said, I know this is a tough time for you, and I want to emphasize again that you're in this together. I will be with you each step along the way. So how long did that take? They timed it 40 seconds. So this randomized trial shows that all you need is 40 seconds of compassion to make a meaningful difference. Importantly, 40 seconds of compassion can be a powerful therapy for the giver too. And this is important because these data are not just applicable to healthcare workers, but to everyone here today. Science shows that compassion for others can have a direct, positive effect on your own well-being. Neuroscience studies show that compassion for others can trigger reward pathways in the brain and positive emotion that can buffer or even counteract the activation of stress pathways and negative emotion. So, in effect, compassion for others can make you forget your own worries, at least temporarily. So now this is where the science meets the personal. A couple of years ago, after nearly 20 years of working in the ICU and meeting people on the worst day of their life, I came to a stark realization. I had almost every symptom of burnout. And let me assure you, that's not a good 40 seconds of compassion can be a powerful therapy for the giver too, I decided to do an experiment on myself. I was the only research subject in this experiment. I was the other one. So I tested the hypothesis that my 40 seconds of compassion would transform my experience. I connected more, not less. Cared more, not less. Leaned in rather than pulling back. That is when the fog of burnout began to lift. My 40 seconds of compassion changed everything for me. Now you might be thinking, I'm speaking on the power of compassion. I must be the most compassionate doctor. But the truth, if I'm being honest, is that I'm still a work in progress. I'm working hard at compassion every day. But I see it now. And thankfully, science shows that change can happen. I used to think that people were either wired for compassion or they were not. But the preponderance of evidence in the scientific literature, both in healthcare workers and in the general population, shows quite clearly that compassionate behaviors can, in fact, be learned. And that is good news indeed. So now it's time to answer the big question that I posed to you at the beginning. Does compassion matter? My systematic review of the literature now completes 1,000 scientific abstracts, 200 research manuscripts, and one life-changing N-of-1 experiment behind me. I now conclude with confidence, compassion matters. For patients, for patient care, and for those who care for patients. Compassionate care belongs in the domain of evidence-based medicine. I no longer believe in this paradigm behind me, this historical paradigm. I now believe in this one. Because I found that there is science in the art of medicine. And the science is strong. I like to call this field compassionomics. It's the convergence of the science and the art of medicine. I'll close just by acknowledging that you don't have to be a healthcare worker to feel burned out. And if you do, I suggest that you test the compassion hypothesis for yourself. Do your N-of-1 experiment. Look and see those around you in need of compassion and give them your 40 seconds of compassion. See how it transforms your experience. And don't do it because I say so. Do it because science says so. 40 seconds of compassion can change everything for a patient. It changed everything for me. It can change everything for you too. And that is the power of 40 seconds.
So the video clip, the second one and this one, tell us about the benefit of compassion, scientifically, especially from medical science and from neuroscience. Compassion is not something that should be reserved for people who meditate in a cave. It's not something that should be reserved for monks. You see, you can see this. It should be at the heart of the society, at the heart of your action every day. When you are going about your life. You can see, okay, the both of the video clips on compassion, and they are from medical doctors, they are professors. One is a neuroscientist and the other is intensivist. They all talk about the health benefit of compassion. As a non-specialist, I understand compassion as keeping your brain younger, stress-free, because compassion acts as a buffer zone between the decision-making brain and between the stressful brain, stress-producing brain. Between those two, compassion is a buffer zone. And it's good not just for you personally, for your health, for your emotion, and for your brain, three of them. Your physical health, your emotion, and your brain. It's good not just for those three of them. It's good for interaction also. Interaction with people. When do you develop stress? It's when you interact with people. Sometimes interacting with your own children, sometimes with your own family members, you have stress. Sometimes interacting with people, with your friends, sometimes, even worse, interacting with the people who don't like you. Now, you develop stress. With compassion, you occupy a higher moral ground because you think about everyone. You think about them doing well, just as you want to do well. The second one, it says, compassion is science. It has hard science evidence behind it. We like to think about the Buddha, Mahakaruniko, a great compassionate one. Now you can understand the Buddha became compassionate because he was just thinking about everyone's pain, everyone's suffering. He was very interested in people's suffering, in people's problem. He never ran away from them. So when he left home to meditate in the forest, he was thinking about the pain and suffering of the people all the time. Actually, that was what kept him going, what motivated him. I think we have done enough theory. Now it's time for a bit of practice, compassion practice. Compassion practice. We're going to start something simple for this session, and something a little bit personal. We start, number one, with ourselves, number two, with our family members, number three, with our good friends. So three groups. We should be thinking about our own stress, the situation where we feel stressed out. And then embrace that situation, embrace that pain. Sometimes we become irritated, sometimes we lose our temper, sometimes we start thinking negatively about ourselves, about the situation, about other people. There are times when such thing goes through our head. We don't really need to be ashamed of this. Instead, we should embrace them with compassion. All the human imperfection, human defect, the negative emotions and thought, we can use them as raw material, to produce compassion. Don't throw them away. If you think negative emotion is a rubbish, you can turn that rubbish into gold, into electricity, into many things, into fertilizer, many things. In the same way, when the Buddha talks about nirvana, when the Buddha talks about happiness, he always focuses on dukkha, on suffering. He turns suffering into happiness. into compassion, changing the negative experience into positive one. That's where the total transformation takes place. Transformation within. So you may think about when you're really under pressure. You may think about when you get angry. You may think about when you feel low. You may think about when you feel negative about yourself, about other people. Trying to revisit those scenarios in the past, maybe last week, maybe last month, maybe last year, whatever. Just trying to observe, just trying to revisit the situation and trying to reconnect with your emotion. Embrace them. Trying to comfort yourself. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Compassion has to be practiced like a mother who has only one child. She gives total attention to her child. Total attention. Total love to her child. When we say one child, what do we mean? We mean one object at a time. We focus on one thing at a time. That's what it means, one thing at a time. We think about our health problem, we think about our social problem, we think about our emotional issue, trying to work on them, using compassion to embrace them. To embrace them. I'm using the word compassion, actually this is just empathy. Empathy. Compassion will go one step further. We have to go one step further. But this is empathy. Okay, it's about half of compassion. So first, number two, think of your family member and their problem, their anxiety, their worry, their stress, their physical health, their emotional issue, social tension. Think about them. And then embrace them with compassion. Embrace your loved one with compassion. One by one. Think about them. Even a 3-year-old has stress. A 2-year-old has stress. When they are hungry, they cry. That's because of distress. So first yourself. Second one is one by one among your family members, close family members. Number 3, your best friends. Think about them one by one. Think about their pain, their stress, their problem, and trying to feel their pain, trying to feel their pain, trying to comfort them. Okay, we're going to meditate for about 10 minutes, okay? Start with breathing in and out, slow and gentle. Breathing in and out, slow and gentle. Breathe in and out, slow and gentle. Breathe in and out about 5 times, 6 times. Okay, now start working on compassion for yourself. Develop compassion for yourself. Think about the past, problems, stress, irritation, mood swing, self-doubt. It's 10 minutes now. Anyone has any question about this practice? Microphone. We have about 15 minutes before break. 15, 16 minutes. Shape, different. မြန်မာလိုပြောရမယ်အင်္ဂလိပ်လိုပြောရမယ် The way we understand forgiveness in Buddhist psychology is different from what is understood, how forgiveness is understood in, say, Abrahamic religion, in Christianity, in Islam, in Judaism. For you to verbally say that I forgive you may not be the end of the story. We go to the heart of, the heart of our thought. We look at an issue from three perspectives: from physical action, from verbal action, and from our thought. This is what we say, Kantoma, Kaikan, Visika, Manoka. So the same issue is looked at from three sides, from three perspectives. When people say there is no forgiveness, they don't forgive each other, we understand anger still exists between them. More than anger, the inability to let go. The mind, the word revenge may be too strong a word. It may be too strong. But we still bear grudges. Whenever we see the same person, we connect this person with a past mistake. So we're not able to let go of the perception that we have about this person related to one past incident. This is to say that in our mind, we have not healed ourselves. We have not healed our anger. So when we talk about forgiveness, we are talking about emotional healing inside. Emotional healing. We are also talking about not having a fixed perception of the person. We should give the person a second opportunity. We should give ourselves a second opportunity. If I have made a mistake 10 years ago, and today, if I think I'm going to fail in something, now I say, look, I did that 10 years ago, now it's happening again. The way I recall my past experience in 10 years ago, my past experience 10 years ago, it looks like a trauma. The trauma is not resolved here. The trauma. This kind of trauma happens to individuals, it happens to family, it happens to organization, it happens to a country. To a country. In Germany, we can never combine two words, Nazi and the German. We cannot combine them. Officially is banned. We can only say Nazis. Because my German friend, they say whenever they think about it, they feel traumatized. You see, it takes a lot of time to let go. Officially, politically, socially, people have forgiven Germany. They have rehabilitated themselves according to the Marshall Plan and playing a big part in the EU to prevent future conflict from happening in Europe. So, on the surface we can say everything is forgiven. But deep down, even for a German who is born who maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, who has nothing to do with World War II, this German still feels traumatized by being associated with the German identity, with the state of Germany, with Deutschland, this one. So when we say forgiveness, it goes very deep. The first thing, the way we work with forgiveness, we work with our anger. We revisit the same situation again and again, and to see if we still get angry. If we get angry, we recognize this anger. This anger comes from subconscious mind. It's a subconscious reaction. If I get angry, means I still have fear. Anger is a protective mechanism. Anger is to protect me. But the problem is that my subconscious mind is seeing threat where there's no threat. So it's a perceived threat. It's not a real threat. As a result, anger continues. So long anger continues, there's no meaningful forgiveness. Some people, they go to court to forgive each other. They even sign on paper that they forgive each other. But you see, many of those people, they can't talk to each other. They can't look at each other's face straight. Meaning they have not forgiven each other. So what do we do if one of my staff made a mistake? The way to forgive, according to my understanding, is to accept his limitation. His limitation. He has his limitation. And then to feel his pain coming from that limitation. So this is compassion. To understand him. I may move him to a different task, but this is a different decision-making process. When I move him to a different task, because I don't want to put him under the same pressure again. For his own sake and for the sake of the whole team, so that other people won't be affected again. So I'm making this decision to remove him from his current position to a different one. Or I may terminate his responsibility. But whatever I do, I mustn't do out of anger. I must think about him. So these days, people institute compassion in workplace. If you fire somebody, you offer maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months salary. This kind of compassionate practice is very good. But how do we part? Okay, how do we say goodbye to each other? It's no good being bitter. Because if we bear grudges, if we remain bitter, we traumatize ourselves. We don't see each other anymore, but we still live in trauma. The trauma still remains. Meaning, forgiveness has not meaningfully taken place. So in order to forgive that person, we need to feel that person's pain, and we need to feel our pain, because we are also deeply affected. We need to feel our pain. We need to watch our emotion. Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it dissatisfaction? Is it blaming ourselves for being in this situation, or blaming that person? All these are negative emotions. So we have to work with those negative emotions until we replace them with compassion. So compassion is about accepting limitation, is about accepting mistake, is about being imperfect. Okay. We don't really need, when I say it's about being imperfect, I don't really need to give any reason anymore. I just accept it. But if I give all sorts of reason for being imperfect, I think my forgiveness is not quite meaningful. Something is still lingering on in my mind, deep inside my mind. In Pali, forgiveness means acceptance. Acceptance of that person's ability, their limitation, their mistake. When I say acceptance, it's not, acceptance in the sense of mindfulness is not passive, it's very active. Until the mind is alert, it's not possible to accept. To accept and to accept the problem, to recognize the problem, and from there to improve it. Improve it. In some religious tradition, forgiveness is a bargain chip. They use that as a bargaining instrument. But for Buddhism, it's about total acceptance, it's about letting it go. Second row.
Thank you so much. You talked a lot about how practicing mindfulness can change your actual chemical balances and chemical makeup of your brain. I would like to know if you believe that practicing mindfulness can actually prevent or maybe even cure mental illnesses, which are essentially chemical imbalances in your psyche as well.
If something is very clinical, maybe sometimes you need both mindfulness and medication. But I can give you one example. I didn't bring the book today. It's called The Mind and the Brain by a professor from UCLA School of Medicine. This is about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is a belief. No, it's more than a belief. It's a theory, it's a scientific theory that says we can change our brain. A few decades ago, scientists believed, we can't change our brain. Now, they believe we can change our brain. Neuroplasticity. In this book, The Mind and the Brain, This older is a psychiatrist, professor in the medical school. He uses mindfulness to replace behavior therapy. Behavior therapy, he thinks, is very cruel. Very cruel. Because if you are allergic to lack of hygiene, then behavior therapy is to introduce you to something not hygienic, so that you get used to it. Desensitization is in front of psychologists. So that's what they say. But this professor thinks this is very cruel. They cure obsessive and compulsive behavior. Obsessive and compulsive behavior. Disorder. Obsessive and compulsive disorder. OCD. Obsessive and compulsive disorder. And this program, this research successfully replaced mindfulness with replace behavior therapy with mindfulness for OCD. I cannot explain you the detail because it's just too technical, but I can. This book is 2002, so 18 years ago. Since then, a lot has taken place. I cannot answer in one word, okay, to your question, but I can tell you that this particular book gives us a lot of hope. A lot of hope. I want to expand a little bit more, because when psychiatrists ask Buddhists why somebody has mental disorder, it's because of past karma, meaning you don't care. You are not going to do anything for this person. I'm saying this because next month, on the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th, 3 days, we have a mental awareness workshop at Shan State Buddhist University in Taoji with psychiatrists from the Royal College of Psychiatrists from the UK and some clinical psychologists also. 3 days of training for the monks and the nuns and also some of our students. Last year they came and they told me, we interview people, including GP, because they train GP in Yangon also. And they say, wow, this is due to a wushilo, a deka, meaning because of your past karma. If you understand my explanation of the Four Truths, we start working on program and we hold belief that everything is possible. Programs are possible to explain. Professor Alan Langer from Harvard University, who has studied and practiced and taught mindfulness for over 40 years, professor of psychology, she describes mindfulness as the philosophy of possibilities. Everything is possible. You can only say it's not possible with this particular method at this particular time. But you can never say it's not possible. You cannot say, you cannot rule out like that. We used to rule out like that. Okay, a certain disease, it wasn't possible to cure, but now it's possible. This is with compassion, with mindfulness, mindfulness of problem, mindfulness of the pain, mindfulness of suffering. So, the mindfulness practice is actually in that way very positive, the way it approaches problem. People are still discovering the benefits. I hope you follow the progress. No.
Well, just now on the whiteboard, you mentioned mudita and prayuna and upekkha. So every day I try to, I have to practice being compassionate towards myself, and I try to be compassionate towards people who I every day. But just now you mentioned in the Yuna and Yuta, there can be anger and greed, Lola and Lola. I find myself, being in that situation most of the time. So in terms of that, how do I cope with it? I try to be mindful, but then it only happens after, like, I get angry or after.
I think you can start where you are. The mindfulness instruction, start where you are. Start where you are means if you only come to realize after anger has happened, so be it. You have to start working on that anger. You cannot work on its prevention yet, but you can work on its healing. After anger has taken place, what we have to do is to heal that. If we can heal anger, we are at the same time working on its prevention. So in this case, what I want to advise you is that to align anger and compassion closely. To align mindfulness and compassion closely. Compassion is to look at the distraction of anger, the hindrances to anger. Hindrances to compassion. Hindrances to compassion. So when we get irritated with a team member, at that time, a negative attitude comes in straight away. Negative attitude. It's not possible to work like this, and it's not possible to put my idea forward. It's not possible to talk to him, to talk to her, to talk to them. We just think about impossibilities. That's what we say, negative attitude. With irritation, negative attitude comes in straight away. Why negative? Why is the irritation? Stress. So you need to learn how to release your stress on daily basis. Maybe a few times a day, once in the morning, once at lunchtime, once after work like this. Just maybe 2 or 3 minutes each time. Before you go to work, if you imagine or if you tell yourself to expect a top time, this is not being pessimistic. This is about preparing yourself for the worst. This is about being mindful. Usually, people go into work being careless, as if this is a very rosy path. Actually, a workplace is a messy place because we have to take decisions all the time. And there are many possibilities, many ways of making the same decision, making the right decision, I should say. Then we may have different opinion based on different experiences. There is no one right, and it's not that somebody is right and somebody is wrong. It's just a different opinions. Now here, if you don't listen to my suggestion in the meeting, I have fear. I feel being rejected. I feel being rejected. So I should watch my reaction. I should watch my reaction. Because if my amygdala, my old brain, starts overtaking it, my brain is going to overplay the scenario. It's going to escalate, the situation by inflating the threat. So in that situation, it's very important that we give ourselves 2-3 minutes and be with that pain. Just be with that pain. Accepting that pain, be with that pain. And when we are with that pain, what about the subconscious reaction? So you can see anger, you can see blaming, you can see a negative attitude, you can see recalling the past pain, which is trauma, all this. Then you will discover what you have to work on. It doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of time. But it's important that we get to the root of this problem. The root of this problem. So, what's the root of the problem? When we are in that tense situation, if the reaction comes out subconsciously, I think mainly this is due to perception. Perception that this person always rules against me. This person is always like this towards me. But that kind of perception is something that we need to take care of. Because that perception is a fertile ground for negative attitude, for negative reaction. So we need to take care of that perception. Any more questions? Okay.
My question is a bit more theoretical, but I want to understand, I think this is one of the first talks and workshops where you directly link meditation and mindfulness to the brain and how the neuroscience and makeup of the brain work. I want to understand what is then the difference between mind and...
What mind?
What is mind?
What is the mind?
What is the mind versus how our brain works?
Oh.
I don't, in my understanding, I think they're two different things. But...
The mind and the brain.
What is the mind and what is the brain?
So you think the mind and the brain are two different things. I agree with you. Since I'm not a neuroscientist, I'm giving you, from a Buddhist point of view, from a Buddhist scholar point of view. what we say the mind in the Buddhist tradition or in Buddhist philosophy of mind. We talk about the function, 3 functions. I give you 3 Pali words that the Buddha himself used. One is to know. The other is to think. The third one is to be conscious. I'm conscious of these flowers. To be conscious. This is the initial stage of knowing. Following my being conscious of this flower, I will start thinking. Okay, I start thinking. And to know means to understand, that I will understand it. So being conscious of this flower, to think about this flower, and to understand this flower, all the 3, they are the function of the mind. Was it yesterday? I think yesterday workshop, somebody asked me, what's the location of the mind? What's the location of the mind? In the Buddhist tradition, in Buddhist philosophy, mind is not a thing. It's not a thing that you can hold and point out. It's not a thing. It's not static. It's not static in physics terms. It's not static. Instead, mind is a process of function. A process of function. These are flowers. They are external to me, and my eyes. My eyes are internal to me. Okay, my eye with all its retina and all its constituent, we perceive the flowers. So the internal material, the internal physical matters, and the external physical matter, they will come into contact. And there is light. There's light, 3 things. And then attention, pay attention. So these 4 things, they create consciousness. They create mind. They create mind here. But the mind that happens when I look at this flower, when I start looking at the light, that mind is gone. A new mind has arisen. So we are talking about a process of mind coming into existence, vanishing, giving way to a new mind to arise. But because of the continuity is like the stream, the stream in the river. It looks like one piece. It looks like a thing, but it's not a thing. So that's all what we're trying to do in meditation, trying to see the mind that is not one thing, instead is a product of many things that happen each moment. It comes and goes, it comes and goes. Realizing that frees us from all wrong perception. So this is about my theory in the Buddhist tradition. In other words, mind arises due to conditions. And when I see this mind is called I consciousness, because my mind arises through the mind, or reliant on the mind. But when I close my eyes, I listen to something. Now, the mind arises dependent on the ears and the sound from outside. Like that. So this is the way we understand the mind. It's not the same with the brain. The brain is physical. The brain is physical. Anything physical like the brain, it has no ethical implication. Ethical implication to say in Burmese ကုသိုလ်အကုသိုလ်တစ်ခုမှမဟုတ် but the mind has ethical implication. Its decision, its function is in the ethical domain. Does it make sense? Does it make sense to you? Okay. So I think we, Marlene, shall we take a break for 30 minutes? Okay, thank you.